Stephen, a beautiful film more. How did you have the film came? Who was the idea? What interested you in the project? Who proposed to you all this?
Oh, it was long before I turned up. The writers, I think it was Steve Coogan wanted to do it. He has a very strong sense of injustice and thought that we should right Philip as wrong. And so he and his writing partner, and Christine Langen, who produced it, they started to produce the script. And eventually they turned up on my door.
But you said to Stephen before that you could interest it, or he just wrote the script and after came to see you? Because usually you read the script. Eh?
Well, what's wrong with that?
No. Once you told me that if you in the post you send you a script, if you like it, you could do it.
If I like it, I do it.
Okay.
I'm already spoiled.
What is incredible in this story at how someone can change the story of England.
Change the story of?
England.
Of England?
In a way.
Well, the truth is, what I've learned since making the film is the role of the Queen, which isn't in the film at all, except, I mean, the captions at the end, but first of all, Philippa wrote to the Queen saying, I'm going to look for Richard III. And she said, well, good luck. And then when Richard was found, and when they arranged for Richard to be reburied in Leicester Cathedral, it then had to be done according to royal protocol. So she was controlling everything, because we also live in a dictatorship, and she was controlling everything. So, and I certainly realized that when, at the end, when the royal coat of arms is there, that had to come from the Queen. And when they changed the wording in the archive, that had to come from, I mean the Queen, I don't mean a courtier, I mean the Queen herself had to do all of that. But I didn't know all this. I learned all this a few weeks ago. When I met the man who was in charge, he represented the royal family in the whole story. So I thought we'd missed a trick.
Yeah. Don't these, ironic look that you have on the corporations is not the corporations where they wanted to do in some way, was the Queen, that it was completely in the back of all this.
I just found it was very interesting that the truth is, in making the film of the Queen, I mean, I'm a Republican. I'd chop their heads off. But she was an extraordinary woman, and she reminded all of us when we were making the Queen of our mothers. So we held her in a very high regard, and actually you could see when she died, the whole state of the nation was to do with admiration of this rather extraordinary woman who had never done anything in her life, but had somehow played this huge part in all our lives. These are very complicated feelings. You haven't got a Queen, you don't know how lucky you are.
I don't know, maybe. And you've always been interested in, in this, historic moments, and figures like that, individual characters, and this one is. When you read the script, did you believe on it, or you were more close to the Shakespeare way of seeing Richard III?
Well, I think I knew that Shakespeare's version was inaccurate. But I wasn't, I'm not a Ricardian. I don't have an opinion about it, really. It doesn't terribly interest me. I mean, I could see they were quite good comic characters. But her story was quite sufficient for me.
And it's you work with her as well, or you just?
I never met. No, I wouldn't meet. I refused to meet Philippa.
Yeah.
I had an actress, and it was all in our imaginations.
And what she thinks about the film?
No, I met her afterwards.
Yeah.
And I said, did we get it right? And she said yes, and I didn't want to have another conversation with her.
But what's incredible, we all knew about the story of Richard III, and to find the skeleton.
It was in the papers and on the TV.
Papers. But they stay with us, because I thought, I was completely surprised that I saw that it was already 7, 8 years ago. I thought it was last year or 2 years ago. It's something that stayed with us. The story that they found and even when we know that what is incredible in the movie, that we know that they are going to be found, and anyway you keep us completely attached to the movie all the time.
I always seem to make films in which you know the ending. Well, you knew that Diana was going to die, so there was no suspense there. I must be very, very stupid.
You said it's based on a real story at the beginning. It's based on, but how come you didn't meet the woman to give some details and just...
Well, I never met the Queen.
No,
it is at the same. Of course, it is what happened, and eventually I did meet her. But it's both.
Is it irrelevant?
It's both a real story and a piece of the imagination. I can't be more precise than that. Because I was working with an actress, I didn't want to confuse Philippa's character with the real thing. The actress had the script to go on. I don't think she met her either.
Thank you, and congratulations for the wonderful film.
I just would like to ask you, why did you decide to give life to Richard III in your film as a character? Why?
You decide to do this
to
story?
make him appear in his horse as a character.
Why you make this appearance of Richard III
as a character
all the time?
Yes, all the time.
Well, again, it wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
But it was quite clear that you had to deal in the past and the present.
Yeah.
You had to include Richard as a character. And I know at the first attempt to write it, they had scenes in the 15th century as well as scenes now. And then they hit on the idea of this sort of ghost story going on.
Yeah.
I think it took 2 years to get Philippa to agree to it. But it wasn't my idea. When I read the script, and it was simply there.
Okay. Thank you very much for your film.
How did you cast, Sally Hawkins, and you knew her and everything, but...
No, I'd seen her. The point about Sally Hawkins, if you need a woman to fall in love with a fish or a dead king, she's the woman you're looking for. Very good at falling in love with fishes.
Well, hello again. I do have a question for you. It's not regarding this film. Like I said, I've watched your... the first film that I watched was Dangerous Liaison. And also my favorite film is High Fidelity.
Do you mean you've never seen My Beautiful Laundrette?
Actually, I didn't.
Well, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah, I know, sorry.
Go back and see it immediately.
It's really good, and it's got Daniel Day-Lewis in it. What more do you want?
I know. I remember that I've watched half of it, and I don't like watching the films half of it, so it didn't happen. But like I said...
You've had 40 years to do the other half.
I will see it, I promise. I didn't realize you were so funny, and I like that about you. Okay, the question is that during the 80s and the 90s, you did a lot of films in Hollywood, in America, and now you're doing in the United Kingdom. And I wonder what caused that shift. Was it you preferred it like this? You had a disagreement with Hollywood, or you rather take it to base at your home base? Not that it's bad, of course.
No, I first went to America to make a film that Scorsese produced, an independent film. And then after that, I made 2 studio films. And I was hopeless at it. I mean, they were disasters. So I guess I simply failed. So I came home. They always say of me that I went to Hollywood and came back alive.
Hello. She actually talked about unsung heroes. Philomena came to mind, even Florence Foster Jenkins. Do you feel drawn to that kind of stories? Can you talk about what kind of scripts or movies are you drawn to direct?
Well, I was sent the script of Florence Foster Jenkins, the worst singer in the world. I thought it was very funny. Why would you not make it? If you get a script that funny, you're very, very lucky. So it was a pleasure to make. That tends to be what happens. It sort of the script really finds you as much as the other way around.
And during the shooting, you never change anything in the script, or you adapt to the actors, to ideas that you can have?
I like to have the writers on set.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly, I think I'm improving it the whole time. Yeah. But you don't change the story. I mean, I don't know, everything has to sort of make sense. And if you come to a bit that doesn't make sense, you change it. Yeah. But it's very straightforward.
And even the dialogues are already all written, or?
Well, they're written down, but if you know, they're not improvised. They're written. But sometimes, you know, anyway, I like to have the writers on set.
And Stephen Coogan was on set all the time, or?
No, he wasn't. He actually wasn't. When we did Philomena, he was there most of the time. But he was there less this time.
First of all, thank you very much. I loved your film. I would like to ask you a question, because it's funny. I didn't read the synopsis of the film before coming, so it was a surprise. And it was funny when Philippa, she started to know, to be curious about Richard the third. And I was making this road with her, but it was very funny to see how many groups and websites about Richard, the King Richard. And there is for all the kings, or because it was special?
As I understand, I don't know much about it, but there is this big movement that Richard was being very badly treated by history. And I think next year there will be a book coming out saying he didn't kill the princes in the tower, which again is really attributed to Shakespeare or another Tudor historian. Okay. I don't know why. They are absolutely fanatical.
Yes, because it's funny to see all when she starts looking at magazines, websites.
No. It is peculiar. But then the British are peculiar.